Hello, my friends. Welcome. Come in, come in, sit down, take a breath. My name is Miss Carol. I am a former career teacher here sharing everything that I've learned over the last 12, 15 years of growth and healing, radical acceptance, practical tools for self-love. And I wanted to talk today about grief. Grief, just saying it. We have become accustomed in our culture to push our emotions away from us. We almost look at them as a nuisance. And grief is such an interesting complexity of so many emotions because when we're grieving, we are experiencing a cacophony of emotions all at once. We are mad, we are sad, we might be a little happy because we're remembering certain memories. We're confused, we're frustrated. So many emotions are happening all at once, and our mind and our body and our spirit just kind of breaks down because we are not accustomed to feeling the feelings, feeling any of our feelings, so we naturally just push it away. But that's okay. Unfortunately, we are not taught enough. We don't see it demonstrated enough what it looks like when someone is processing their emotions. And what are the things that we are grieving? Obviously, when we talk about grief, the first thing that probably comes to mind is someone passing on. And that certainly is grief. But we can also grieve not getting a job. We can grieve having a car accident because we were in a car accident. We can grieve a former part of ourselves that we've lost because we're not in a relationship anymore, or a part of us, a part of our independence we've lost because we are in a certain type of relationship. There are so many levels to grief, which is why it's just so fascinating to me. And one of the things that I loved the most about being a teacher, particularly a teacher of small students who were kindergarten, first grade, third grade, is the amount of care that I had, that I was forced to deal with their emotions with. Because as children, you know that they feel so many feelings because they don't have a frame of reference to deal with their emotions any other way. So their emotional landscape is very limited, so it can come off looking very sporadic and very chaotic. So it forced me as a teacher to slow down, to get them to slow down so we can kind of come to the same page and then we can move accordingly. That was one of the things that I loved the most about being a teacher. But what are we all? We are grown-ass kids. We are in adult bodies, but our minds and our consciousness, our emotions are still that of a child because we have not learned behaviors that will enable us to feel our feelings and experience them through the prism of compassion and acceptance. You know, when someone else is grieving, it's very easy for us to put our arm around them, tell them that we love them, make them a great meal, do all of these things that come natural to us. But unfortunately, when we feel intense feelings, we are so unkind to ourselves. We are unkind in two really big ways. We are unkind with expectation. We are unkind with judgment. Judgment meaning, I'm so silly. Why am I feeling this way? Or I'm so lazy. Why can't I get up and go? Or expectation. How long am I going to have to feel this feeling? Or when is this feeling going to be over? We are so unkind to ourselves. But when you have a feeling that feels so intense, it's a call for you to treat yourself and to treat that inner child as if that is who is being represented in that moment. Because you would not attempt to have a child push past their feelings. You would sit there with them. You would hold their hand. You would ask them questions. You would give them the attention and the love. And that's what we need to do with our feelings when they arise. I have been grieving one particular relationship for several decades. And that is the relationship that I wanted to have with my mother. My mother, it's so funny. Probably about after 20 years of going to therapy, literally every time an issue would come up, and I would kind of feel like I was getting to the other side of it, I would kind of look at my therapist and be like, oh my God, it's my mom again, isn't it? It's my mom again. All of this stuff is coming back from my mom. You know, my mom is from a generation, from a culture, like a lot of our parents, where they didn't have emotional maturity demonstrated to them. So therefore, when they started having kids, they did not have the capacity to demonstrate it to us. When we're kids, unfortunately, the thing that we do is we take on the responsibility of the environment around us and we make it our fault. Because again, we don't have the emotional landscape to differentiate ourselves from the things that we are feeling and the environment that we are in. So because of that, our relationship suffered. I was extremely hard on my mom for many, many years for those two things: expectation, what I thought she needed to be, and judgment. Judging her because she wasn't. And it made our relationship very fraught with arguments and passive aggressiveness and ultimately no contact. Had I been more practiced at showing myself radical compassion and being kind to the emotions that I was feeling, perhaps we wouldn't have gone on that path, but that's neither here nor there. When we are confronted with a flood of emotions, it is our call to quiet and to be curious. You know, the thing that I love the most about curiosity, it's like curiosity is such a bridge in between things. Curiosity is like a bridge between a feeling that you have and like getting to the other side so you can focus to transcend whatever is going on. And that's why I love being curious so much. I love curiosity so much. And I am insatiably curious about other people. It's because I am so enamored with how people ended up the way that they ended up, why people make the decisions that they make, what led to the thing that is in front of me. What led to this? Curiosity. We have to demonstrate that curiosity in ourselves. What is this emotion here to teach me? What can I gain if I let this emotion go? Who am I without this emotion? So it's one thing to feel the feeling. It's another thing to be curious about it. So that way it transcends, we can transcend it and figure out a plan of action. This is deeper than affirmations. You know, affirmations are a wonderful tool, absolutely wonderful. It's kind of like getting your toe in the water. But I've said in another video, I've never lived my life that way. I like to swim in the deep. I jump right off the diving board. Matter of fact, that's how I learned how to swim. That's how I learned how to swim. My swim instructor, oh my gosh, it was the 80s and they were just like torturing kids. My swim instructor threw their keys in the pool and said, go get them. 12 feet of water. Go get my keys. All right. Jump in the pool and go get it. But that is my character profile. I am much more comfortable in the deep. And affirmations are wonderful. But if you are wanting to get into the deep of your emotions, you have to be able to be curious enough about yourself, curious enough about them to look at them. You know, another thing that we do besides distancing ourselves from our emotions, we distance we distance ourselves from the thing that scares us. Whether it's talking to somebody on the street, talking to a stranger on the street, or, you know, negotiating a higher paying salary, or whatever. There are copious examples of things that we are frightened of. However, we have to be in a posture of being curious enough about the things that frighten us to walk towards them. If for no other reason, just to be curious about them and examine them, to really take a look at them and examine, say, why does this thing scare me so much? Why am I so enamored with this thing? What is it about this that frightens me? And then you can proceed how you must, either running away or going towards, going under, or going around. Grief. It's something that we will all experience one level or another. It is so important that you actively, intentionally make yourself vulnerable in situations that scare you. Obviously not bodily harm. Don't put yourself in any kind of danger. But, you know, I was at the gym earlier, and my workouts are pretty much all the same. I usually go to the same room all the time, but today the room was taken, so I couldn't go there. And I like to go in this particular room because it's like in the back of the gym and it's away from people and I could just go and do my thing. But the room was taken, so I had to go and work out in the middle of the weight room where I really don't like to go. I would really just rather go work out and get on with my day. But I had to work out in this room. And I was confronted with the thing that scares me, which is being on display. You know, I think it's a very strange environment in the gym where you have all of these people in a very small space, but everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Nobody's really talking to one another. Nobody's talking to each other at all. And you can tell that we're looking at each other, but nobody is really wanting to acknowledge it. It's just a very awkward environment. So my go-to, again, is to just distance myself because I like to swim in the deep. If I'm that close to someone, I have no problem talking to them. But again, people kind of feel a little awkward about talking to strangers in public. So, but I was forced to confront that fear today and go into this situation. Now, obviously, this is just a microcosm of something as big as grief, but it's about taking those small steps towards vulnerability. So that way, when we are confronted with life's challenges, life's big emotions life's challenges that cause life's big emotions, we have been practiced in these little demonstrations of vulnerability that now we can observe our emotions instead of being so wrapped in them. We can be the watcher of them instead of being the storm itself. We can be the sky above the storm. This is about going past affirmations and going into a deep sense of love and wisdom and compassion that exists within us all. I pray you are showing yourself compassion. You are actively being kind to yourself. Check out this next video, and I will see you on the next one.